Okay, let's just check volume levels. So we're looking good. You can hear me over the top of the airplane. I'll just turn the airplane down a little bit. Okay, so this evening we are going to do the next leg of the round the world trip. This is the longest leg and there's not going to be much to see, so I won't be online for the whole of it because it's 1200 miles. It's going to take 4 hours probably. But I will be here obviously until we get into cruise, and as soon as we get to top of descent I will reappear on the channel. So in the meantime it's going to be fun. So let's go and have a look at the route. So I've got the wind barbs on. We should be aided a little bit by the wind along the way, but not too much. We're taking off from Memanbetsu on the northern coast of the Hokkaido. And then we're going to fly basically and just cross over the edge of Russian airspace and then come into Alaska. Oh, sorry, one of the Alaskan islands. So this is Casco Cove. It's only 5,900 feet long, so it's just about long enough to get an Airbus into, but we should be okay. If not, if we change our mind at the last moment, we can always go along the way to what's the Ericsson Air Force Base there and go and see how we get on. So all I've done so far is fired up the power on the A320 and turned the lights on, so we need to go through everything else. So overhead, go and put the strobes on to auto. Nav and logo can go to 2. We've also already got the APU on. I did that so I could turn the lights on without depleting the battery. And we can go and put the cruise supply to on and put the emergency exit lights to armed, and the no smoking sign can go to auto. Don't need the seatbelt sign just yet. So we go and align the nav system. I think I've got it on instant alignment so we don't have to wait for that. So down into the cockpit and let's go and brighten up some of these screens, shall we? It's interesting that this hasn't aligned yet, although we haven't done the processes in the MCDU yet, so that's probably why. Oh no, here it comes. Talk of the devil. Okay, so we brightened up the screens, so we're going to go down to the MCDU now. Well, we're using SimBrief for the flight plan, so let's go and do this here first. So we'll come back over and import SimBrief data. So there we go, from Memanbetsu over to Casco Cove. We can import the SimBrief data. Okay. Go and have a quick look at the flight plan, make sure it's all looking okay. I think we can get the payload from SimBrief as well, can't we? So we don't need the ground power unit because we're using the auxiliary power unit. So there we go. Yeah, we can download the block fuel and load it onto the aircraft instantly. And we can go to payload and we can go and fetch that from SimBrief as well and load it onto the airplane. And then we can go and get on with the rest of getting the airplane ready. So if we go and press Control 5, we can go into the FMGC and go to the init page, and we can do an init request and it should go and fetch the route for us. So here it comes. So we can clear out any messages that we've got on here at the moment. We can go into
from the flight deck. On behalf of myself,
wind request and
cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard
do
our
a wind
flight.
request.
We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting for
and
some
then come
final numbers
back.
from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way.
So let's go and set up our departure. So you can see on the flight plan we've got the main route is programmed in, but we need to go in and do a few more bits and pieces. So in the init page first, let's go sideways and do our block fuel. Oh, that's interesting. Why will it not allow us to request block fuel? Maybe it doesn't in this version of the Airbus. That's interesting. So 12.5 is fuel on block. So we should be able to calculate the zero fuel for free. There we go. And clear out that. And then the numbers all update, and we can come back round and back to init. We can go to performance. So we haven't done performance, so we can look at this in the calculator. I don't know if has this got a departure calculator? I can't remember if it does or not. So no, not in the same way. So it does it. I always forget this, that the flight. This is the fly-by-wire Airbus. It calculates it for you, doesn't it? So you can put in like flaps 1, for example, and we'll leave flex temp alone, and we'll just put the basics in. Yeah, so it will calculate the V speeds. It's not quite as good as the Phoenix in this regard. No doubt there are aftermarket add-ons that you can get to do that, so we can leave approach alone until we are a lot closer to the destination. So we've done the performance data, we've done the initialization data, we've pulled the wind down, we've got the routing, so let's go and just have a scroll through that, make sure it makes sense. There is a discontinuity in there, look, before top of descent, so that's probably just says some vectors in there, I imagine, so we'll clear that out. Because again, we just want to get this flight done on the books. Okay, that's that done. So Control 2 takes us over to the FGCP. So managed speed, managed altitude. We're going to be. Let's go and have a look at the flight plan. Have we got? I haven't actually got the flight plan open, which is interesting. Can we get to it in Navigraph? I think we can, can't we, somewhere? There's usually a view of the OFP somewhere around the place. Or maybe there isn't. Or I'm just being blind. Let me go and open SimBrief, because it will have it in there, won't it? So if I go to Dispatch System and view flight plan for the current flight, it would have been in the tablet as well, wouldn't it? I could have found this in the tablet. I'm being a bit silly. Okay, so 35,000 feet, that's all I was looking for. Okay, and we're going to do an open climb to get there. So, we're going to go and prepare for pushback. So before we do anything, we need to go and put the seatbelt signs on. And turn the external power off if we are using it. We are not using it. So, do we need to push back is the question. I don't think we do, to be honest. Oh no, there is a building right in front of us. So we're going to press Shift and P. And I'm going to change the time just briefly, because obviously this is not great to be able to see where we are. Okay, yeah, we're in a very underdeveloped airfield. So if we were to come off the parking brake, does this mean, yeah, it will start rolling all on its own? So we'll just get enough room to get the nose turning, and then press Shift P again and put the parking brake back on for the moment, just to give us room to turn the nose around. And we'll go and put the time back on live, so it reflects actually what's going on. Okay, engine start. Control and 8 takes us overhead. Go and put the beacon light to on. Fuel pumps go to on.
Flight attendants, arm doors, and cross-check.
The APU bleed can go to on. And we are into the ignition sequence. So I'm going to do this on my controls. So ignition is on. Right engine is on, so you can see the N2 coming up over here. So Mr. Bullseye is asking in the live stream chat, is this where we landed last leg? Yes. On the north point of Japan. And we're going to do one big long leap over to the islands that lead towards Alaska, which is going to be by far the longest leg of the trip. Okay, so when this gets to about 60%, is it? I think it comes back to the aeroplane, so we're going to put the flaps into takeoff configuration while we're here. We're going to turn TCAS on as well while we're waiting. We'll also go and arm the ground spoilers while we're waiting for that. Okay, so that's that engine up and running. Now for the next engine. Yeah, we're going to have to do a bit of a combat takeoff. So we'll get the engines up and running on the parking brakes, go to full thrust, and then release the parking brakes just to give ourselves every chance. It should be fine. Okay, it's complaining about the predictive wind shear. There we go. So after starting the engines, just waiting for the start ignition sequence to finish. Okay, engine is up and running, so the ignition can come off.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
The APU bleed can come off, and the APU mask can come off. Sorry, the mask switch is off. So then we've done the flaps. Just check the nose wheel steering is armed. It is. We've armed the ground spoilers already, so we can taxi out to the runway. So we want to go overhead and go and put the taxi lights on. So we should be able to see where we're going now. Hurrah! We can see the fuel tank directly in front of us. So I'm going to put on the head tracking at this point. Hold the toe brakes, come off the parking brakes. Full nosed wheel deflection, and we do a U-turn basically. Nobody else here that I'm aware of. Okay, let's just put the brakes on a moment, put the parking brake back on, and we're going to have a quick look at the departure because I haven't checked it at all yet. Okay, so it's an immediate, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Look. So we do an immediate turnaround and then go for the MVE VOR and then we leave. So this draws it really badly. Let's see how Navigraph draws it. It doesn't. So it's got departures available. So is it the MVE? No, it's not. They're not using one of those. We're just going direct to MVE off the runway. So it's our own navigation basically. So we can fly out and do a direct or a turn. So what we'll do, looking at the wind, 4 knot crosswind on takeoff. If we take off runway 14 then, which is what we're being instructed, we just need to put this in as a heading to begin with. So we're going to go selected heading mode. So we want 142 degrees. Okay, so that's on selected heading mode. So we are here, we're going to come out and turn right and then backtrack down the runway and then turn around. So back off the... That's the beacon for the airport that's flashing, isn't it? It's not an aeroplane or a helicopter or something. So let's go and taxi down the runway. So here's the runway. So we should see daybreak during the flight. But probably towards the end of the flight, so most of this is going to be in the dark. Someone's asking what's the in-flight meal? Never foods. It's going to be a long flight, so yeah, as soon as we get to cruise altitude I am going to mute my microphone, and I will be looking in on the flight obviously to make sure it's safe along the way, but I won't be present for the whole thing. That's really good of them. Look, they've put a line of cones. Just line the aeroplane up nicely. Okay, parking brake on. So, what do we need to go and check? Landing lights would be a good idea, wouldn't they? We'll go and put the strobes on instead of on auto. We don't need the wing lights on, usually we only use those to check for ice. Let's go and increase the range. So remember, we're going to fly out on runway direction for a while, and then we'll turn right and come back in towards MVE. So we'll sort the route out on the way. So there's our aeroplane flashing away on the runway. We're pretty much ready to go. So let's turn the head tracking off so we've got good control of this. So let's just confirm 142 degrees is showing on the navigation display. The VOR we're wanting to go to is directly underneath us at the moment. So that is our first leg. So we're going to be flying away from it to begin with. So if we fly out, do a teardrop and come back, then we can tell the aeroplane to fly direct to MVE and it should be good. Park and brake off. Flaps are correct. Hold the toe brakes on. So we might get an alarm because of me holding the brakes on. Okay, off the brakes. We don't have any restrictions for climb. I haven't calibrated the altimeter, have I? I've just done that. And rotate. So we put the head tracking on. Okay, goodbye. Memanbetsu, so then gear up. Slowly increasing in speed. Go to the climb detent on the throttles. and autopilot is now on, so it's tracking the 142 degrees. So if we go and have a look on the map, you can see what we're doing here. I curved slightly right while I was under manual control, but it's fine. So we're going to fly out and give ourselves enough room to turn, and we're going to turn across our own track. So we are going in open climb, remember, up to 35,000 feet. Let's go in command 2. So ideally, we have to be mindful that we can't go more than 180 degrees across our own direction. So if you watch this, it's going to come around here. We're going to be over here somewhere, aren't we? So measure. In fact, it would be best to try and, well, we'll see what the turning circle is like. So if we pull this around to 270, so it's going to end up going west. I'm just mindful, if you go past 180 degrees, obviously it's going to turn the wrong way. So now we go to north, because we can. So the aeroplane's going to try to go directly north, and it will have overshot slightly, but that should give us enough room if we reduce the range on this now. You can see there's the VOR. So then we can do direct to. I'll wait for it to rotate a bit further. Yeah. In fact, it's direct to now, isn't it, essentially, because it wants to go to MVE. So if we do that and go direct to MVE, insert, and there we go. So the airplane has now taken over. We're now in managed heading mode, managed speed mode, and on an open climb to 35,000 feet. So I didn't check on the way out, so we're probably going to be a bit late with this, of what the transition altitude is of the airfield. And I can't see it on the airfield chart. It's probably only on departure charts, isn't it? Because we're not doing one. So if we go and have a look at Memanbetsu and go to charts and standard instrument departures, it would be 14,000 feet. So we're not there yet. We've just gone through 10,000 though. So the landing lights can come off now and retract them. So when we come through 14,000, we'll switch over to standard barometric pressure, and we can increase the range now. And you can already see, look, the sunrise in the distance. So it's very early hours of the morning. So yeah, we don't need the ground spoilers programmed anymore. I didn't bother with the auto brakes, there was no point. It'd be good to do a video at some point, wouldn't it, showing emergency procedures and showing things like aborted takeoff procedures, and actually do them and see how well the different aeroplanes support doing them. Okay, flaps can come up. Now we've finished doing our manoeuvring. The aeroplane can now accelerate. I could have lifted the flaps earlier, as soon as we finished doing that first turn. Okay, so coming up towards 14,000. If we sit back down a bit, can see all the programming modes on the autopilot. It's not going uphill very fast, is it? That's because it's favouring accelerating over climbing. So it wants to get to cruise speed. Okay, so it goes 14,000 feet, so we go to standard barometric pressure on both sides. Because we have passed through the transition altitude. Okay, so I'll babysit the aeroplane until it gets to cruise altitude. So we've got a couple of minutes. Should we go and have a look on the map? So I'm running this on Volanta as well, as I've done with all of the around the world trip flights. So we haven't got a picture of the aeroplane. So, I suppose we're not going to get a good one at night though, are we? I could upload one temporarily. So if I go to pictures, screenshots, and I just took one a moment ago of the cockpit, that will do for the moment, won't it? So that will appear in there. So yes, you can see us just departing from Memanbetsu. There's our lovely track of our climbing turn out towards the VOR, and then off on our way. So hopefully it should be fairly straightforward, but it's just a very long way. So I've gone with the VATSIM, sorry, not the VATSIM, the SimBrief plan. So someone's asking, are there any other aeroplanes in our airspace? Shall we have a look? Only one, as far as I can see, Mr. Francis Youth in an AT-46 at 20,000 feet behind us over the top of Japan. We're on the Southeast Asia multiplayer server, by the way. So coming up through 20,000 feet. This is the stable version of the fly-by-wire. So, if you've never sort of poked around with the fly-by-wire much, it's got some nice toys in it. So you can go. I guess the most famous one is the printer. So you can go to AOC, and you can do a weather request. So it will be pre-programmed with the airports in your flight plan, and you can send your weather request. And then in a few moments it will say message received up here, or you can just come back in here and look for the message arriving. So if you go ATSU, AOC, received messages, nothing has come through just yet. Yeah, I think it says it here. It takes it a few moments for it to happen. But basically we've requested the METAR. There we go, company message, and it's just appeared here, look. So there's our METAR, but we can print it. So you get the weather report comes out of the little thermal printer down here for the departure and destination airports. Except with the lights and the cabin on it, you can hardly see the print, so then you can tear that off. There you go, you can just about read it. So it's saying no METAR available, but it has got METAR for the secondary destination. So if we end up diverting, we've at least got weather for that one. Let's go and put the eCam screen back on its normal view. There we go. It's kind of like a hybrid view. So if you don't highlight any of the buttons for the eCam screen, it shows you a hybrid view with lots of information on it about the cabin status, the engine status, and so on, temperatures. So let's increase this range out a lot further then. So we're about 70 miles out from top of climb. So Mr. Bullseye in the live stream comments is saying, I switched to the latest dev build yesterday, got the SimBridge running with it on Linux. Quite pleased with that. So you're, hang on a second, so you're running SimBridge on Linux and Flight Sim on Windows, I'm guessing. Yeah, I can see how that would work. I've never really played around with SimBridge myself. I've got it installed. I'm just wondering what else I've got installed at the moment. A few bits and pieces, but not too much. Oh, you're using Proton. Okay. Oh, does that mean you can run Flight Sim on top of Linux? Does that not affect the frame rate horrifically? So I run Linux on, I've got two Raspberry Pis here. I've got a 400 and a Raspberry Pi 5. I'm still waiting for them to come out with the Raspberry Pi 500. And I will admit, I watched, I'm going to forget his name. Is it Retro Recipes? Perifractic is his name. He had a new Commodore 64 that is basically a Linux machine that looked very, very cool. I've got no use for it, but that won't stop me thinking about buying one. So seatbelts, yeah, we're not at cruise altitude yet. Normally commercial flights, I'm just reading the comments there. Commercial flights, you wouldn't turn off the seatbelts until you get to cruise. So we're still in climb at the moment. So you can see there's the anticipated top of climb. And then we turn the seatbelt sign off. And I'm guessing in the fly-by-wire doing so may trigger another sound thing of the captain talking to the passengers. I'm not sure. But yeah, I've actually got two Raspberry Pis here. At the moment I've got two PCs, which is ridiculous because I've still got my old machine with the NVIDIA 3080 in it. I'm using that at the moment purely to run a browser to read procedures, which is what I usually use the Raspberry Pi for. But the only reason I've still got it is I need to obviously clear it down or keep it for other purposes. I'm not sure yet. I spoke on a live stream the other day. I'm seriously considering using it for video encoding to do a pass-through on the HDMI somehow, but I'm going to have to have a read up on how to do that. Because I've become more and more aware that I'm losing frames through OBS, because OBS is obviously trying to draw the screen for me and encode, hardware encode the image to go out to the stream. 11 or 12 Raspberry Pis. I've got 3. I've got actually 4. I've got the original Raspberry Pi Model B, I think, the one that had the network connector, somewhere knocking around in here. I've got a Raspberry Pi 3, again a 3B I think it is, which I turned into a video games machine. It's got recall box on it. And I've got a 400, which is the one in the keyboard. And at the same time, on a bit of an impulse buy, I bought a 5, which is wired up to the monitor in here. So both of the 400 and the 5 are both running, is it XFCE? I can never remember which distro is which, or which window manager. But it seemed XFCE, I think, was the one I chose because it was quite lightweight and fast and didn't hog all the memory. And I've got quite a bit of experience with Linux, so it was, you know, quite straightforward to set it up. Okay, so we're going up to 35,000 feet for the flight. So Alistair Murray is saying he hacked his Xbox controller, added an ESP32 module, and can now fly the plane using voice commands. That's fantastic. I wonder if you could get an Azure Copilot agent to do it, to fly an aeroplane. That would be interesting. I guess you'd have to give it access to all of the controls, though. That would be the problem. Building that interface for Copilot to be able to interact with all of the buttons and switches. But it would certainly be able to do it. Can you imagine that? An artificially intelligent co-pilot controlling the simulator. Which you kind of have built into the simulator anyway. It's up here. There's the flight assistant. That is essentially an AI pilot. You just tell it where to get to and it'll get there, but obviously it's not going to follow real world procedures to do it. It's just going to get you there by hook or by crook. We didn't turn the nose light off, did we? Let's go and just have a double check around rather than yapping. Let's go and check that things are as they should be. So it's looking good. The design ethos of the Airbus, as if you didn't know, is dark is good. It's that way on purpose. So the sun is getting closer to coming up over there. So if you look outside, you can we're just about lit up, look. So what are the islands we can see, or what is the landmass we can see off to our right? Oh, okay, it's the I'm not sure what these islands are called. Etorofu, is that? And the further one is, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce Cyrillic names, so I'm not going to try it. Kunashir. So you're just reading the comments there. I've never played around with an Arduino. I wouldn't have a clue where to start with them. At work, most of my programming, this is going to sound like a ridiculous list. The languages I work with typically at work is just C#, JavaScript, PowerShell, I'm trying to think what else. HTML isn't a language, is it? But Python a little bit. A lot of Ruby recently, the last couple of years, or last 3 or 4 years. Because I've been doing a lot with Ruby on Rails, which is a web development framework, MVC framework. At home, I tinker around with Python typically to get things done in a hurry. So I've written quite a few little Python scripts for my own purposes. But yeah, and I've written some bits of C#, stuff like Transmitter. That's a .NET application. That was literally written in one lunchtime and then a weekend to tidy it up about 4 years ago when Flight Sim first came out. Okay, so we are at cruise altitude, so we're going to go and turn off the seatbelt sign.
ladies and gentlemen. Once again, from the flight deck, your captain speaking. We've just reached our cruising altitude for the flight. As we begin to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your feet elbows clear from the aisle, as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley carts shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating with the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it. That's us sorted for the next few hours. So what I'm going to do is leave this running, cruising along, and I'll put a little nav map up in the corner. So open window layout, minimal. Actually we don't want it to center itself, do we? Open window layout, default again, turn that option off. Open minimal, there we go. And we'll leave this up in the corner of the screen, I guess up here. And go to taskbar, make the taskbar go away. And I'll leave this running for a while, for the next few hours in fact, until we are getting near to top of descent. So when we get near to the turn towards the Alaskan Islands, I'll be back. Yeah, I'm just reading the live stream comments before I do disappear. My only dabbling with C++ was a few years ago, and I started to write a chess engine, and I got quite a long way with it, but I ended up getting distracted by other things. But this is still kind of a bucket list thing for me to write a chess engine. At some point I will. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to sign off for a bit. I'll leave the sim running, and anybody that wants to drop in over the next few hours, I guess we should estimate, we can find this out in the cockpit, can't we, when we'll get to each leg. So if we go to the flight plan page and go, now I'm going to admit I'm not going to be the world's biggest expert of this, so we've got UTC at each waypoint. So it's saying 2247, so that'll be 2347 for me at the destination, so it's not as long a flight as I thought. So about 11:15 UK time then, I should be showing my face to see what's going on. Yeah, so let's have a look at this. So AMISA is the one we really want to know about. AMISA at 20, so that's 2320 for me. So yeah, at 11:20 then, based on current progress, UK time, I will be back. Okay. I'm going to leave it out there, put the map back and zoom it back out so we can see progress along the way and the winds, and I'll see you later. Okay, I'm just checking in mid-flight to see how things are going. So let's go and turn some brightnesses up around the cockpit. Now we have some sunshine outside, we can go and turn off the dome lights, obviously. I'm most interested in just looking at the timings. So we were interested earlier in seeing when we get to AMISA, because then I'll need to come back, obviously, and look after the descent and descent. Get the words correct. AMISA, we're looking at 22:24, so we're running 5 minutes later than we thought. So that's 23:25. But look at it, obviously the wind is pushing us around, which is altering the estimates. Other than that, so yeah, we're looking at about 20 past 11, so about an hour and 20 minutes until we are within range. Okay, I'll leave it there for the moment and catch you all again a bit later. Okay, we have some sort of issue going on. It might be a bug in the airplane, but I'm reluctant to say that because we should be at 35. This is showing 35,400, which is odd. But why are we getting a klaxon? There are no warnings anywhere. The temperatures look good internally and the warning's gone off. I think it was just the altitude warning because we had strayed from the cruise altitude, so it wasn't holding altitude correctly. So I imagine that's what it was. The airplane was just fighting against itself. But look, you can see here there's a lot of turbulence we're passing through. The airplane is being affected and it's chasing speed, so it's just unsteady air we're passing through. It's probably because we're on this front of this cloud system. Anyway, we're looking good. I'll leave it alone now. Yeah, so Mishka's come through and said it's the same thing that I've just said. We were 400 feet away from the altitude we should have been at, so there's probably been an air pressure difference along the way which caused it. But you can hear what you mean. The engines are jumping around, chasing the target airspeed. And seeing as we are, approaching a front of weather, that would explain it. Which is why you can't completely walk away. So having said that, I am going to walk away for a bit again. So we'll see. I'll catch you when we're a bit closer to the destination. Okay. Okay, time to get back in control of the aeroplane. So we are approaching top of descent in about 40 miles. So let's go and have a look at what we've got on the chart. There isn't really much to go on. So I may go and there's no real approach there, look. So what we might do is go off script for the approach. So obviously this is going to be a visual approach. Or hopefully. We haven't seen the weather yet. So okay, let's go and see what Navigraph has. See if it says anything different about the weather at the destination. So if we go flights and go to the other end of our flight, where are we? Here we are, coming in towards the destination. I mean, if push comes to shove, we've probably got enough fuel to extend over to Shemya. But for the moment, we're going to have a look at trying to bring it in on this smaller runway. So if we open the charts, do we have any approach charts? No. Taxi charts? No. Okay, so Navigraph's got nothing. What about weather? So wind is out of the west. 5 knots, there's hardly anything. So what we're going to do is start descending fairly soon. We'll come down to 10,000 feet to begin with. It's saying check speed mode. No, it's saying throttle idle there. They're on climb mode obviously at the moment, but that's obviously that's what's been commanded, I guess. So the throttle is winding back as we speak. And we are starting to descend. So what we're going to do is continue on down the track until we get a bit closer. So we're still in managed heading mode, which is good. So I'm just going to check something out while we are descending. So I was just looking up how you can program custom waypoints in to see if we could give ourselves some, but they're a bit rubbish on the Airbus. You have to go to the data page and you can go into fixes and do it, or you should be able to. So yeah, say we went and picked somewhere on the map. So I guess we could use these ones out here as references. There's nothing out here though, which is a bit of a shame. So if we said MLAW, I have no idea if this is implemented. So that gives you longitude and latitude of MLAW. But what you would need to do is we would need to pick up a position out here. See, I don't know if it's implemented. Input, so we would have to put a unique identifier in, and then we can put in longitude and latitude of our own choosing. So if we come back out of here, go to data again, go to next page, go to waypoints, and we put something unique in. So for example, if I put in I don't know, JB 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's not going to allow it. It's not implemented. That's a shame. So it's saying, anyway, it's asking us to put in destination data, so we better go and do that. So performance, next phase, QNH at the destination. We just had it up here, didn't we? 1003. And temperature at the destination was 9 degrees centigrade. And the wind, 265 knots. Okay, so we've now got our destination data in. Interesting. Okay, we'll leave the rest of it as it is, and we'll do our best. So we're descending as we go. So we're about 90 miles out at the moment, down to 23,000 feet, so we'll have plenty of time to manoeuvre. Shall we look outside, see how we're doing? So just replying to Mr. Bullseye there in the live stream chat. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people playing with the Tech Alpha. I'm not going anywhere near. I'm not even watching the videos of it because it's an alpha. Though I think what's really going on here is Asobo will be ramping up the server infrastructure, so they'll be using all those guinea pigs to get the servers ready. You know, to set up the scaling. So flight modelling in 2024 is, I can't see it's going to be that different. They'll obviously have tuned it, but it was already very, very good. You might have more and more aircraft using the computational fluid dynamics. So the way it works, if you're not aware, and again, X-Plane doesn't do this. One of the options in flight sim in the modelling is, if you think about it, you put a cube, or this simulation puts a cube around the aircraft, and it simulates a grid of particles flowing over the shape of the aircraft. So I think it calls them voxels, which is like a simplified way of thinking of molecules, but it's essentially a grid of points that move over the surface. And then, you know, you can do the computational fluid dynamics equations on them. The only problem with doing that is those are the Yang-Mills equations, which I read about years ago, and it's one of the millennium problems with mathematics. They're one of the unsolved problems. So any type of simulation of fluid dynamics is always a best guess, you know, and it has to be validated against the real world, which is why you get like Formula One teams and stuff where they make a mistake or they can't correlate between the wind tunnel and the computational fluid dynamics. in their modelling. And it's because those equations have never been solved. But yeah, so Flight Simulator, it works very similar to X-Plane, but it uses far more data points. So it's kind of doing the blade element analysis that X-Plane does all over the shape of the aeroplane, but it's also doing the CFD around the aeroplane using this kind of voxel method to make it more, you know, so it's not too expensive in terms of processing. So yeah, it's very good, and obviously it's all about getting closer and closer to an approximation of the real thing. But the closer you get, the more expensive it becomes. Okay, we've got the... It wants us to go and put the... what do we say? 1003. The barometric pressure. I meant to say that a moment ago and didn't say it, did I? So, we're coming in towards the airfield. We're going to deviate off to the south. So we're going to go to selected heading mode now and go 20 degrees to the right. We're just giving ourselves more of a turn in towards the airfield, so we can see it here now, look. So we're still 60 miles out, but we're going to give ourselves some room. Do I have a third-party airport for the next stop? No. I'm going to see what I see when I get there. Hopefully I'll be able to put an Airbus down there. So, yeah, SI voltage, people, you have to remember the new sim is coming out, so they're targeting slightly ahead of the curve with the hardware. Although, reading it, well, it's difficult to know if you can read any truth into the ridiculous hyperbole news stories about the 5 series NVIDIA cards. But they are getting out of the realm of consumer hardware now. But the 5090, I think it is, if the leaked data is correct, you're talking enormous power usage and essentially 2 video cards. So one is the actual card, the other is a cooling unit. So we can see we've deviated off and we're going off. If I just draw this on the map, we're going off this direction. So then coming out that way, if we go measure from about there, so that gives us a 30-mile run in to get lined up, which we don't need, so we might probably turn in a bit more closely. So we probably only need a third of that, so 10 miles will be enough. Yeah, so about there. So if I just put a marker in the map here to aid our visual. So we'll turn back to a parallel track, or we could cut across, I guess, to give ourselves so we haven't got too much of a turn. So we'll do something like that. So what we can also do is find out the airfield elevation. So 88 feet. So if we go for 2,500 feet or 2,600 feet at 10 miles out, and then we'll just come in visually and just do everything nice and carefully on the way in. Okay, so if we go and look outside, we should be able to see the island. Yeah, there it is, look. And the sim is looking very pretty. So Mr. Bullseye is saying, are you going VFR? Yeah, I'll go fully manual for the approach. I'll be fine. There's a reason I fly so many different airplanes in the sim. It means I can pretty much fly anything if I put my mind to it. And there's a reason I typically land everything fully manual. So yeah, just reading the comments there, the 5090 is no longer a consumer piece of hardware. It's ridiculous. If the numbers are true. I wouldn't be surprised at some point in the future if running software like Flight Simulator moves to the cloud and you just receive the images over the internet. Because latency is getting so low now with doing that sort of thing. It is realistic to do it now. Because running this simulator it's no longer really a video game. It is a simulator. You know, it's crossed a line at some point, and the monetary cost of doing it is getting ever so slightly silly. Right, so we're going to start dropping down to 2,500 feet. Oops, too far. 3,000 or 2,600 we said, didn't we? So if we start that now, so let's do an open descent to 2,600 feet. So we will need to slow down. So we're going to go selected speed mode to 250 knots as well. We need to do that before we descend really, but we're already descending. Hopefully nobody will report us. So spoilers are out to drop us to 250 knots. We're below 10,000 feet now, so the landing lights should come on. We're going to put the seatbelt signs on. And we'll just come in manually. Well, I say manual, we'll use selected mode until we're in the ballpark. So there we go. That's 250 knots. I don't understand the statement there. It isn't a shame to tell us that you can't fly the A320 by IFR, but there are no radio signals out here to fly it by, so we have to come in visually and a manual approach. So I don't quite understand that one. Anyway. So we're just coming up to the point at which we're going to turn. So we got 117 degrees we want the wind. So probably a 115 to counter the wind or something like that. So if we look outside now we can see the island. Okay, should we go for the turn then? So we want 116 degrees, let's go for, just to see how we do. Down to 6,600 feet. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? So we're going to also bring the speed down now to 180 knots. We'll use the spoilers to make that happen. Actually 200, let's go for 200. Flaps to first stage. Yeah, it was a shame, isn't it? Look, when we were further away, it was better quality, and now we're closer to it. It hasn't got data for it, and it's gone to the pixelated patchwork. Which isn't surprising, because this is the middle of nowhere. So we're going to keep our distance. Do we need to hold? We probably do, don't we? So let's go and hold ourselves a bit higher. 4,500 feet. We'll hold ourselves at that height. I'm just looking at these hills. I'm thinking I don't want to be too close to them. Yeah, look, it looks good at that distance, and then it goes to the pixelated mess when you're too close to it. So it doesn't have the closer layer. Don't worry about that, it's just because it's complaining about being too far away from the altitude again. Just coming back up to it, and it'll go quiet any moment. There it goes. Yeah, we did turn a little bit early. That's fine. Should put head tracking on. Keep forgetting about that. Actually look out the window then, can't we? So apparently there's a mountain at one end of the runway. Should we go and have a look? Yeah, we're going to have to go around it. Or skim the edge of it. Oh, okay, I see what you mean at the far end. So we're going to skim past this hill when we make our turn in. We're coming down at the moment along here, and we turn in. So we'll start descending again. Let me turn the head tracking off for a moment. 3,000 feet, open descent, and let's turn some brightnesses up, shall we? It's all getting a bit dim in here, isn't it? It's that whole problem when the screen recalibrates, and then when you look down, the exposure changes. So we'll also go for 180 knots now. So runway direction is 21 degrees. Ah, we have decent quality of the landscape of this part of the island. So looking at these land masses, okay, so this, we're just coming past this one. So it's just past that one, isn't it? That outcrop is just behind it, is the runway by the look of it. It's another pixelated lump there, look. It's very odd, isn't it? Some areas have got data, some haven't. That might be a server issue. That could be a function of the new sim coming online and the data centers being moved around, and who knows. Okay, we're 180 knots. Let's get some more flaps so we haven't got as high an alpha level. Okay, we're at the top end of our speed for the flap setting. But it means we're much more level instead of having such high alpha. So you can see the flaps are extended. Obviously going this slowly means we can turn a lot more quickly. So let's pull this down then to 2,600 feet again then. Open descent. We're getting near to the point where we're going to turn. I wouldn't mind turning a little bit late on purpose. We should get visuals of the runway fairly soon. I don't know how much we'll be able to see around that corner.
2,500.
So we're holding at 2,600 feet. Okay, I'm going to tell the airplane to turn then. So 20 degrees now. And like I said, I'm hoping we'll go a little bit late, although I think I might have done it a bit early, but we'll see. Let's put the head tracking on. What can we see outside? Can we see a runway? Yeah, we can see the runway just. Okay, time to earn my keep, I suppose. So let's turn the autopilot off. So we actually want to be this side. And let's get the gear down. In fact, let's go manual throttle as well. Slow ourselves right down. Full flaps. Time to concentrate. It's incredible, isn't it, that the scenery is this good at somewhere you would never normally see. Okay, we need some more thrust. but not that much. So I'm trying to stay just, you know, sort of 5 or 10 knots outside of the minimums there on the indicated airspeed ribbon. We've got plenty of room, haven't we? It's a very long runway. So it's complaining about the spoilers not being armed, but I'm not going to worry about that.
"50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Reverses, spoilers. And wheel brakes. And reverses off. Flaps up, wheel brakes off, and we'll open the engines back up. I don't think he was expecting an A320 somehow. I can't see him. That's the funniest thing I've seen in ages. He wants us to come closer. I'll run you over, you twerp. Oh my word. Do you think he had a bit of a panic attack? Oh my word, that's amused me enormously. Anyway. So let's go and shut the aeroplane down, shall we? We'll put the APU back on while we're shutting down, because obviously there's going to be no external power out here. So we're just waiting for it to come back up. Told it to start. Here it goes, it's just spinning up. Then when we've got the APU, we'll shut the engines down and then go and switch everything else off. That was funny. Come on, APU, give us some electricity, please. Today would be good. There we go. So, engines off. Fuel pumps off. If I can click on them accurately. Cruise supply off. Turn all the lights off. I should have had those off when we came off the runway really, but oh well. Another logo off, beacon off, seatbelt sign off. Yep, everybody can go and race for the toilets now. Emergency lights off, and then go and turn off the navigation display. Okay, that's pretty much it. So we'll go and turn off the batteries, and it will all go dark. Famous last words. External power is available. Should we have it, just in case? Of course, we're still on APU, aren't we? Yeah, so we could put the batteries back on while we're on external power. Yeah, sorry, this is me being a bit brain dead. So we can come off of external power and then come off batteries, and then we'll go dark. Hurrah! So there we go. Oh look, he's gone to have a panic, probably in his little shed. Right. Thank you very much for watching. Those that hung around and waited for the landing. It's midnight here in the UK at the time of recording, so I am going to go and shut everything down and collapse into bed, I think. And I guess the next part of the around the world trip will be leaving Casco Cove and heading off across these islands, which will be good fun. So there are various, if I turn off the wind barbs, you'll be able to see. Some various islands have got airports, so I'm guessing we'll go airport hopping along the islands and exploring them as we go. Hopefully the scenery will be good along them, and we'll slowly make our way up, and we'll end up at Ted Stevens, I guess, up in Anchorage, which will be good fun. But yeah, it's going to be good fun. We could go to Kodiak Island as well, just to include some points of interest along the way. But yeah, it should be fun. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. Yeah, refueling could be a problem here, though God knows what's in the buildings over there. Maybe they've got secret supplies. Maybe it's all underground. Maybe there's, what was it called? What was the secret organisation in Transformers called? Maybe this is one of their bases. Anyway, see you all again soon. Take care.